Thank you. Well, good morning or good afternoon or wherever you may be the time of day. Welcome to this session. This great session for you guys. Let me get my screen going here for you. Hopefully everybody can see that. So you're considering the arts. You have a talent that a lot of people don't really have, and now you'd like to pursue that for a degree, whether that be the bachelor's, master's. So that's what I'm basically going to talk to you about as far as like the application process and what kind of goes on with that. Just like how it kind of says, lights, camera, action, don't be stage fright. There can be some difficulties with the application, and typically not for art students. There's more involved than just the application, which I'll go into that a little bit more. So like I said, what I will be covering today is preparing to study the arts in the US. And I have the US mostly because that's where we are, but this will also apply for other places like Canada or in the Americas or wherever you may, in Asia areas, wherever you may want to be studying. Typically, this will be kind of your guidance or guideline to what you're going to be studying or and preparing for, what the application is going to be looking like, all that type stuff. So I do want to prepare you to study, to get you ready to come to wherever you may be, but mostly within the US. Choosing the right school. What's the right school for you? I'll kind of go over that. Then we'll also go over the admissions process. This is the main thing. I was like, what's going on? What do I need to prepare for? What are schools asking? All that type stuff. We'll go over that. And then we'll do some do's and don'ts along with kind of the campus highlight. So as you are thinking about traveling abroad, going somewhere outside your country to get a degree, this is kind of your first step. We know we want to jump right in and start working on our degree and graduating and getting a job. All that's part of the process of going to school. But one of your most important things that you'll do is actually preparing to travel abroad. And so I have some checklist here of some things for undergraduates and graduates. And a lot of those are kind of both the same. But the most important thing that I do, even for at the undergraduate level, is talk to your sponsor. You always want to talk, and what I mean by sponsor, whether this be family or a friend or whoever is going to be financially supporting you while you're abroad, you need to speak with them, because we would all like to travel abroad to get an education, but sometimes we just can't because financially we're just unable to. So it's very important that first step is to make sure that you can afford to go abroad, wherever that may be. Another thing is that I have is kind of adapting to COVID, and I'll go a little bit more into this, but when you're now with COVID, in this pandemic that is worldwide, it's going to affect the way you apply. It's going to affect the way you research and going to the embassy to get your visa. It's also could affect the way the school is structured, whether in class, online, hybrid type systems, all these things. And definitely with the art students, because there's a lot that happens in class that this could affect. So make sure you do talk to whatever school, or when you're looking at schools, look at what they're doing. And this goes into research. Always research about that particular school. You may want to research about a school in the US. You may want to have a school in Canada. You may want to have a school in the UK or in Asia. Whatever that may be, make sure you're researching. And typically the embassy, definitely the US Embassy, looks at like, did you just pick that school and that's it? Did you research multiple schools? What did you do to come across this school? And so always have some research background. For some of those students that are just graduating high school, talk to your high school counselor about preparing to go abroad. Financially, where do I look? Maybe they have source and libraries for you to look at different schools. But I would consider, you don't have to, but I would consider talking to your high school counselor. This goes, next one, prepare yourself to explain. I have this mostly for once you've picked a school. Like I said, how particularly with the U.S. Embassy, they do tend to ask why that school. What was the reasoning for you picking that school? So make sure as you pick the school and you're preparing, you have that. And then start gathering your work. Make sure you have a portfolio. Pretty much almost all programs within the arts require some sort of portfolio, and a portfolio doesn't necessarily mean like drawings and different stuff on paper. A lot of that portfolio could be a recording of you dancing, singing, playing an instrument. An audition type scenario may be required. And so prepare yourself for that. And then explore different regions. So graduate's pretty much the same thing. The only difference with the graduate is you've already have your degree and now you're wanting to further your degree. So the embassies may be wanting to know why. And then so just be able to explain that. And then your portfolio that you present and you provide, when you're thinking about putting a portfolio, most of this that universities are going to be looking at will be what you did within your bachelor's degree. They could, if you've been out of a degree for a while, like you graduated quite a while and you're in your field and you're really working, but you just need to further your education, you can present some of what you've done. Definitely if it's been certified or you've placed it in an art gallery, or if you're in some production or something of that nature, those are always good to put in there. But a lot of times the schools are going to want to know, what did you do within your bachelor's degree? All right, so choosing the right school for you. In the United States and pretty much also in other countries, you're going to see a variety of different types of schools. You have your community colleges, your technical schools, you'll have your art institutes, and then you have private, public institutions, universities, colleges, research schools versus liberal art schools, and the list can go on and on. A lot of other things is the different types of funding schools can provide. Not every school can provide you the exact same dollar amount. Not very many schools can provide full rides where complete tuition is paid for. So then you need to try to figure out, okay, which school is providing the most scholarship money, but also you want to look at tuition. What's the cost for tuition at that school too? Then look at, obviously, safety is a big issue. You want to be safe wherever you're going. You want to find out with that university the safety around the school, or how well is the school coping with COVID, stuff like that. And then schools that can provide good job placement. Obviously, as you're going to school, you'll be in the United States. You need to be working on campus if you do work. And then when you get off campus, or when you graduate, then you have that ability to work off campus. So how is that school placing you as far as graduation? And then also preparing you for a return of an investment. So you're going to be spending a lot of money. No matter where you go, you're going to be spending quite a bit of money to get educated and to get that degree. And so you want kind of a return of investment on that. Some more things, just kind of how I was talking about the safety, the job placement, the return of investment. These are just some more kind of highlights with that. Funding, I tend to think about, that's probably the most thing that I see that conflicts with students is funding. They have a great school they want to attend, or they attend this school, but funding tends to be an issue, or funding fluctuates from time to time. So do make sure when you are preparing to travel abroad that there is capability, or what I call like a cap of what is expected. Like if I go to this particular school, this could take quite a bit of my money towards, if I go to this school, it may not be so bad. And then location, what are you kind of interested in? Rural areas, metropolitan areas, a big city, small, medium, they're all a variety. Location, do you want to live on campus or off campus? Do these schools provide on campus? Most of the time, schools don't necessarily provide off campus, but they can showcase some off campus options for you. Your religious background, is there affiliation that you can go to possibly, or does the school provide a religious affiliation? Those things. And then once again, like your costs, you do got to consider like application fees sometimes, costs for you to send documents, what type of scholarship will I get on top of what that scholarship covers towards what else I'll have to pay for. All those things you kind of want to be looking at. And to continue on with this, your program, many times if you're in the arts area, do you just want to go to an arts type school that just does arts, or do you want to go to, let's say, like a liberal arts type university, and where you're doing your fine arts type programs on top of some liberal arts type studies? Are rankings important to you? Do understand that there is rankings for everything. And so do make sure, be careful when you are saying, okay, ranking is important, which is good, that's okay, to know, kind of what that ranking is associated with. And then also not only the campus size, but also class size. Sometimes students want a big campus. They want that big campus feel. Some students don't want that. They want small campus feels. And then also smaller class size versus larger class size. And there is a difference between the way a class operates with a larger class size towards a smaller class size. So it just depends on you, on your case, on what you're comfortable with. So also we get this a lot of times, that a student may follow people to a certain school, ultimately for that student to not really like it, or for them to transfer because it just wasn't the fit for them. So I have in here, what is the right college or the right university for you? Is it someone else's choice for you to go to there, or was it your choice? How did that relate towards you? Can you afford it? All those type things. And then it's not about the best school. So I really like these kind of sayings. It's about finding the right school for you, the right college or university for you. And the right college is where you can be happy and successful, not someone else's college, but your college. And then a successful college is a place that pushes you and helps you get better. And so is that school going to help you get better for your degree? So those are all the things that you're kind of looking at to sit there and say, okay, this is what I'm going to prepare for. And now you're kind of going along, you're finding some classes, you're finding some schools. And so now it's time to apply. So you're at this point of applying. Where do I go from this point? The number one thing, and I'll kind of even jump to this, tips to remember as I'm going along this application process, tips to remember is look over the admission checklist. Most universities, if not all universities, will provide a checklist of kind of things that you need to submit to get admitted. And so those are very important for you to know. I would tell you this, not every school is equal on what they want. Some schools may require more, some schools may require less. You may even have schools that don't ask for a portfolio, and then some that do, or ask for an audition, and some schools may ask for that audition. So be very careful with that. Also, be careful with your deadlines. This goes along with applications. Many schools have different start dates. And also on that, schools have deadlines typically. And this not only goes for your application, but sometimes scholarships, sometimes the ability to get in the program. Similar to like Oklahoma City University, we can accept you into the school, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you got accepted into like our music program or dance type program. You have to apply separately for that. So those are some things, and there are deadlines for that. Whereas to get admitted to the school, there's not necessarily a deadline. So very similar on dates that you need to be looking at. So what type of students typically we're looking at? When you're got to be thinking about the application process, we look at a multitudes of students, and this mostly falls in line as far as many times schools have, especially in the arts programs, many times they have a cap on how many students come in for that particular semester. So they can only bring in a certain amount. So the types of students that are typically looked at are domestic, and domestic typically means people like in the US citizens, or students, I talk about in-state, like students from that particular state of where that university is located. And then you also have internationals, or you have out-of-state type students. So there's a lot of applications that can come in for that particular program. We also look at freshmen, transfer, graduates, athletes, all those type things. So all of those types of students are typically funneled into an application in which we got to look at to determine who goes in or not. Something to consider when we talk about arts. Arts can be defined within what I typically say about three different things. Really two for sure, but you have your fine arts. And so this is something for you to remember when you're talking about arts. You're going to hear a lot of schools say, okay, what do you mean by arts, or what type of arts are you considering? Two different main arts is your fine arts. That typically involves whether you have a musical talent, or you're a vocal singer, or you're doing theater or dance or something of that performing of type arts. Those typically fall under the fine arts. Lots of times you will see also some of the visual arts could be more under like the graphic design, printing, painting, writing. But those could also be under fine arts too. But typically you would see under visual arts more of the fashion marketing, the graphic designing, for us, game, animation, and designing, stuff like that. And then you'll hear the word liberal arts. Now this doesn't necessarily classify as a certain type of art, but you'll hear the word liberal arts. Liberal arts just basically is saying, particularly to indicate a type of school. And that would be that school provides students a variety of classes. So not only will you be doing your fine arts, like if let's say you're a music student, you're doing music classes, but you will also do a variety of other classes like sciences, like a biology class, or like a humanities class, or a business class. And what that does is a liberal arts type university provides what we call a rounded education, where you're able to be taught a variety of different things, not only your main topic or your degree, but a variety of different things. So those are just kind of some of the arts things there. Now let's get down to the main thing, which is called application. This is the part where this either gets you in or does not get you in, all right? So the online application part. Many schools nowadays are doing online applications. You may find a school that does like a mail-in application or has that as an option. But most of the time, be prepared that you're going to be doing online application. You're going to be uploading documents or as part of your documents, and you're going to be filling out stuff on the computer. It's today's time. We're in the world 2020s now. So everything's pretty much online. So then you need to be looking at like, do I need to provide official documents? Do those official documents need to be mailed? Or can I upload those online? Typically speaking, most universities will allow you to upload official documents or certified official documents and then verify at some particular point, but be prepared that you could have a university that says, hey, you either need to send your transcripts to an evaluation company and have that evaluation company send it to us, or you need to upload your officials or mail in the officials to us. So those are all some things that you need to be prepared and be considering. On top of that, I would be prepared for you to take either some sort of test. If you're a freshman, maybe the SAT is a requirement. Now, if you're a graduate, GMAT, GRE, typically in the arts, you won't find GMAT or GRE required, but you never know. And then ACT, which is more domestic for domestic type students. Do understand that with COVID situation, a lot of these tests have been placed on hold. So some universities may require it, or some universities may not require these tests. And then I would say English tests. You will find a variety of different schools that require a variety of different English tests. I have just listed a few, but there are several universities that do have different criterias for students to meet English. And then there are some schools that have waivers where they can waive your English requirements. Once again, the deadlines is important. Statement of purpose. A lot of schools want to know kind of like, why are you picking this? Why are you picking this university? Why are you picking this degree? And going through that. You also have letters of recommendation. I have several students that sit there and be like, no one really reads these letters of recommendation. And that may be true. Sometimes it's departments, it could be a mystery on whether or not the department's actually reading these letters of recommendation, but it is a requirement many times. And it could also help you get into that program. Let's say you're not meeting the GPA, or you're not meeting the grade point average that's needed to get in, but you have a professor or a teacher or employer that's providing the school information about you that may help you. It may push you to that point of getting in. Let's say if you're an art student and you're musically talented, but we're looking at academics to start off with, and academically, you may not have met our GPA, but with a letter of recommendation, explaining maybe your situation or explaining your way of your academics, that may get you in. So also look at scholarship applications. Try to always take advantage of universities. This sounds kind of odd, but take advantage of universities by getting some sort of type of scholarship. Do understand that a lot of times scholarships are based off academics, so they're not necessarily based, but you could find performance, talent type scholarships, but a lot of times they're academic. And then also on some, mostly for graduates, like your resume, CV, lots of times those can push you over to that point of getting accepted into the program. And then of course your portfolio. All right, so these are all kind of your admission process. Like I said, some universities may have all of this. Some universities may only have like 3. So it really depends. It goes back to my tips for you to kind of remember. Really look at the checklist, kind of understand that university, what they're wanting, and be prepared and to provide what they're asking for. All right, some do's and don'ts. So do talk to your sponsor, once again, about studying abroad. Always important. You know, it probably should be your first thing you ask is like, hey, I really would like to go abroad. Do you think I can do it? And then if you're talking to like your family, can they help you? Because typically finance is going to be the main issue, whether you can go abroad or not. And like I said, pick a school that meets your needs. Not your buddies, not your friends, not one of your relatives. Mom and dad may be alumni of this particular school, which is great for them. Maybe they went in as a business major, but you're going in now as an art majors, but this school is not really a great art school. Don't go just because they're an alumni. Try to pick a school that actually fits you and what you're looking for. And pick a school that fits your price range. This goes back to cost. You really do need to find out a school that actually fits you on your price range and what's going on. There are multiple ways of working around. Let's say you do find a school price-wise that could be a little bit pricey for you. There are other options, like going to what we call a college or a community college. And community colleges do the first 2 years of, like if you're a freshman going out of high school, first 2 years of school, and then you do those 2 years and then moved into the school that you're interested in. So, and community colleges are typically almost always cheaper than universities. So something to look at. And then also do look over your school program and try to match it up. Is this what I'm actually wanting to do? You know, type things. Some things you do not want to do. Don't pick an institution because of others. Once again, just because my good friend decided to go to this university doesn't necessarily mean that's where I want to go. Do I want to be with my friends? Sure. But that major that's at that particular school may not be as good as this one. And this particular school could place you in the future at a better position for a job than this school. So do make sure you kind of do a little bit of research. It's always cool to hang out with your friends. It's always good to kind of go along with them to wherever they may be, but just be considerate of checking other schools. And don't assume that you're going to get admitted just because someone says, hey, you know, just because you may have a good GPA doesn't necessarily mean you get admitted, especially for art students, because a lot of it is based off talent and what you're capable of doing. And then kind of skipping through this, don't overlook costs, stay broad, and don't apply right before a semester starts. You got to have time to go to the U.S. Embassy. So if the semester starts, we'll say like at the 1st of August, don't apply like in June or July. You know, have at least a month or two kind of buffer time for you to spend time for you to get all your application to them, for them to make an admission decision, for you to get your documents back, and then for you to schedule an appointment for the embassy. And so that's really it. That's really what we're talking about as far as when you're applying and trying to get things going. Now I'll kind of move quickly along with this. I do want to kind of talk to you about us and who I am or who I work for. This is Oklahoma City University. If you're not familiar with Oklahoma, that's okay. Here's a map of the United States. We're in the center portion of the US. And this is, a lot of students are like, I'd rather be on the East Coast, West Coast. That's fine. But do understand that in the center of the US, the cost of tuition tends to be less. The cost of living tends to be less. You're getting a great value of education. And there's some great schools within here. And so we are a metropolitan private university, basically saying that we're a downtown university. So we are in Oklahoma City, which is the largest city in the state of Oklahoma. So you are in the heart of everything. So if you're an art student, this is really good for you. I typically would say being in an artsy area or a location that has creative arts within the city that provides you opportunity for work afterwards. One of the great things about us is we've been here for 100 years, long time. And we've been at the same location. We've not moved from building to building. We've actually had one building and now we have multiple buildings, as you can see. So we have 3,000 students, 70 plus undergrad, 20 plus grads, about 43 countries represented. So we have students from all around the world, and then about 200 plus international students. We have more degrees than just arts. We have under your STEM programs, humanities programs, business. Once again, we are a liberal arts university, so we do offer a variety of students different types of degrees, and that's at the bachelor's and master's level and even doctoral program. But if you are an art student, we have outstanding programs within the arts, and that would fall under our dance, music, and theater. Another good thing about us is we understand that you'll be traveling a long ways. And so You're going to be away from family and friends. So we have dorms for you to live on. We have meal plans for you and a cafeteria for you to get food. On top of that, since we are in the downtown area, one of the largest districts that is next to us is an international district, our Asian district. And so students can find foods and restaurants and grocery stores that are close to what they may buy in their home country so they can cook. And so we also have a great community that comes onto our campus and helps our students. So some specific art programs, if you are looking at this, School of Music and Theater, highly ranked program, nationally ranked program. And when I'm talking about highly and nationally ranked, I'm talking about within the top 10 schools US wide. So 600 some odd schools in the US, and we're in the top 10 for the best music. And then even in the dance, that even gets more into the top 5. So some outstanding programs and very well ability to connect you, not only get your degree, but also connect you to the outside world of college into these for jobs and stuff. So you'll see a lot of things there. The music program has been around for a long, long time. And we have just incredible alumni. It would be no surprise if you are walking around on campus and you're seeing people that have won like Grammy Awards, Emmy Awards, Tony Awards, all these things. And some of them teach, so pretty cool. Our dance became one of the #1 dance school in the whole United States. So you're seeing a great quality of dance and what we can offer. And we mostly, this dance necessarily isn't the classical dance, but more you'll see like theater type dancing or Broadway dance. So more of the modern type dance and tap. If you're not dancing and music or singing or theater, all that type stuff, we do under the arts, we have our visual arts. And our visual arts would consist of game design and animation. This goes along with kind of our graphics. We do have graphic design, and if you're wanting to paint, draw, all that type stuff, we have that as well. But our game and animation design has actually taken off. And we've seen students that have graduated with this now that are really good, are performing at the top and getting hired by companies. And they're not just doing gaming, they're doing a number of things, but the game design process and the abilities of doing things has met the industry out there, and students have found jobs. And you can see the different types of jobs. So it's not just building a game. There are all sorts of type of things that are required from people that companies are hiring for specifically for these. Another cool program that we have is film. So we do have a film program, and you would think because we're in Oklahoma, we're not Hollywood, California, or we're not in the Broadway, New York section, that we don't have these connections. You would be really, really surprised. We have alumni all over the place. In fact, in the state of Oklahoma, film has become a booming business. And so you're seeing a lot more film production companies, and people are needing this. I mean, you got to think when people are doing commercials for their companies or and you're talking about game design, graphics design, people building websites and whatnot, all these things, they need these talents for, and we can provide that to you. So when I talk with students, I basically break down, I'll hurry up on this, break down between 1 or 2 different things. And these are some things. We do have scholarships for international students. That ranges from 9,000 to 13,000. We have talent scholarships from 80 to 40% of your whole tuition. So if you are music, dance, all that, very talented, we have those scholarships. Once again, we are a metropolitan university, so that puts you in the heart of art, really, and it gives you connected with a lot of the art districts and different types of programs that provide arts. The main thing is with our programs, we do have a high rate of providing students with jobs, 92%. National average is 42%. And a lot of our classes are hands-on. So we bring corporations in and we use corporations' problems to solve their problems, or if they have projects, they provide that to us and our students work on this. So you get a really hands-on opportunity and really relates more to what you're doing. So it's not just lecture, or it's just not just a professor just talking. This is more of those hands-on operations. So when you get out in the real world, and this could be why we have a high job rate for our graduates, is that we have prepared them for the job. Another thing is small class size. I encourage more of a smaller class size than a larger class size, because you do get a personal education. Teachers really invest into the students, helps you, one, pass classes and gets through classes, but it also helps you when you go outside and you graduate and you're trying to find a job, that these professors step in and kind of help you along the way too. One cool thing about our university is we do have a career services to help professionally develop you. So it's resume writing. If you're in the arts program, it helps you create your portfolio, gives you etiquette classes, all these different things that helps you for interviews, all these things. So it's really a great opportunity. This is our application process. Now, this would be similar to what I was talking about, where you can apply online. We do require English official transcripts. You can upload all your official transcripts to us. We do have a section there for portfolios, auditions, stuff like that. Those are all needed within that. And I'll be glad to give you more information about what needs to happen for this. And then these are kind of our GPAs, our fee structure, and I'll be glad to talk more about that too. I'm going to give you a little bit of time for questions. Our office can help you with this. This is our email address, ia@okcu.edu. If you have questions, feel free, or there's a QR code there that you can go in and basically find out if there is anything that you need. And that takes you right to the application. Let's see here. Are there any questions? If I can get out of. Any questions for it? If you guys have any questions, I know sometimes in a group or whatnot, throwing out a question can be kind of nervous. If you do, feel free. And if it could be very specific too, feel free to let me know. It's okay. Yeah, so I do have a question about scholarships. Super important. Our scholarships, you don't necessarily have to apply for scholarships. Ours, well, it takes back. We have two different types. We have one that's on the academic side. Those you don't need to apply for. Those are based off your academics, either within high school or your bachelor's degree. Those are your academic sides. If you are going to an arts program, many of the arts programs have what we call a talent scholarship. And those scholarships you may not necessarily need to apply for those either, but they would be based off like your audition videos, or if you're bringing in your portfolio of paperwork that you're wanting to present, those types of scholarships are based off those, your talent type scholarships. Those are pretty prized possessions because those scholarships can get pretty high. They can get up to almost 80% of your total cost here or towards your tuition. And so our particular scholarship does cover up to, like say, it starts off at 9,000, goes 13,000. And we do look at like your GPA for that. And please send me an email. Be glad to email you back about kind of all this type of information. In fact, I will put my email address in there real quick. If there are no other questions, like I said, feel free to contact me. Our office does work closely with the departments, and we also like to connect our students to the department, not only for us to make a decision, but also for you to communicate and know a little bit more about the type of program you're going into. If you don't have any other questions or anything of that nature, hope you enjoyed. Don't be scared about the application process. But the last thing really is communicate with your school. If you get stuck, don't feel bad about asking just because you got stuck. That's what our offices are here for. It's what the admission office is here for, to help guide you through the process. And at Oklahoma City University, we do a great job by helping students with that. So. Wait for a few more questions, maybe.
Hi, Erin. Thanks for hosting today. Maybe before we head out, do you want to maybe give a couple final thoughts for students? Maybe something about how your university kind of is different than other arts universities and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Separate yourself from the crowd.
Right. Yeah. So you're going to run across, as a student, you're going to run across a lot of universities that have arts programs. We understand that. One of the great things about Oklahoma City University and our art schools or our art programs is, one, you're going to get that highly ranked program, so well established, and you don't get highly ranked unless you're well established. And so we've been around for a long time. We've been able to produce numerous students. We have a large alumni population that are in these arts, different types of arts areas of concentration. So we know the way of how to get you educated, get you to where you need to be performing wise, and then place you in a job. So probably one of the knowing thing is, like, art students always have a hard time getting jobs, right after school. And that is true. But our university does a great job in helping you. And so you're going to be going, if you pick Oklahoma City University, we have great emphasis with our international students in placing jobs. We also have a great feel and vibe here on campus for art students, international or domestically. And so we can connect you. So you won't be disappointed if you come.
Awesome. And I don't believe we have any more questions. Oh, maybe one more. Does Oklahoma City offer an exchange program?
We do have an exchange. We do have an exchange program. A lot of it is dependent upon the university that you're attending. My suggestion is to email me, contact me, and we can look at the possibility of setting up an exchange. But we do have several different types of exchange where students will come 1-2 semesters. Within the arts, sometimes some of those aren't there, those exchange programs, but the programs are abilities. So just holler at me, give me an email, and then we can work with you.
Okay, I guess we will end it there, and we're right on time. So amazing. So if you have any more questions for Aaron, he'll be in his booth for the remainder of the fair. And get out there and ask all your questions. This was very informative, and we do appreciate your time, Aaron. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.